you how to elevate your lifestyle through thoughtful design, prosper in your day-to-day tasks, and give you just the right set of tools to avoid all things basic. I am your host, Cameron Johnson, and you can join me while I interview other professionals who will help you to level up your space through curated design, maintain and grow in your personal and professional goals, and give you tips and tricks on how to create the business you've always dreamed. Want to know more about how you can be modern without being too trendy, or simply how to start living a life of luxury without breaking the bank? We'll grab a drink and cozy up, because we're about to go above and beyond the basics. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Basics. Today's guest is an entrepreneur transforming homes into luxury dreamscapes. With decades of experience and artistic sensibility felt within all of his designs, he is known for building extraordinary landscapes from pools, waterfalls, tennis courts, and all the in-between. His work has been featured in notable sources such as Forbes, Business Insider, The Wall Street Journal, and his very own bestseller, Straight Dirt, New York City's premier designer tells it like it is. So with all puns intended, let's dig right into it and welcome Steve Griggs to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. That was very well done.
Thank you.
We said we're going to have fun on it. So here we go. West Coast, East Coast.
I know. Well, I'm so happy you were able to come on and make it work because I know time changes can be difficult. So it's much appreciated. So thank you. I kind of want to kick start it and just have you share with us, you know, how you got started, what's your background, and where it landed you today.
So, wow, I graduated college in 1985, long time ago. I've been doing this for almost 40 years in the New York City, in the New York and surrounding affluent suburbs of New York City. Landscape architecture degree, came out of Mississippi State, and basically worked for a guy for a year and started my own and been pretty much plants, trees, and bushes ever since. I like to say, you know, I build cool shit for rich people's backyards. I mean, it's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Say it any way you want, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, I love the honesty and how truly, I mean, you started, I remember you saying, I started with a wheelbarrow. Like we started with nothing and you built your way up to where you are today, getting even celebrity clients and just really making a name for yourself. So I'm super excited to have you on and to share even more about kind of your journey. To kind of kick it off, because you're a designer who still puts pen to paper for most of your drawings, how do you approach selling? And I say selling kind of more as like a client to buy in on a conceptual drawing if it has the ability to look a little bit different when created in person.
So that was one of the I don't really know how to use the CAD. I don't, I don't do the 3D renderings, but we have people on our staff that do all that. So my job is to create the vision for the client. I basically sketch it out on an notepad, give it to the designers, and they basically turn it into the renderings and we turn it into construction drawings so they can actually build. How I get the client to buy in on it, you basically have to paint the picture. You paint the picture, you got to get them excited. Like, you know, you have to be the authority on the job.
Yeah.
You have to tell them what's possible, what's not possible. And, you know, just by doing this for so long, I mean, I feel like I have an advantage, which I do. I've been, you know, they call the snow on the roof, right? Gray hair. You know, so I've been just doing it for so long. Like I've seen every possible scenario.
Yeah.
And I know what works and what doesn't work through the designer's eyes, let's say, right? So that's pretty much, you know, and it always comes out better than the sketch, of course.
Absolutely.
And you always want to get the client to be wowed.
Yeah. Oh, and I think we 100%, I mean, our industries definitely work together in certain ways. Like you're doing the exterior, anything exterior, I'm doing all interior. And 100% when we are creating these 3D renderings, or if it's a conceptual drawing, or even if it's just visioning and inspiration, same goes for us. I mean, we just have to, like you said, be the authority, be the ones that are confident, you know, we're the professionals here. we are creating a vision for you, but it's going to be even better in person once it's all created.
It's really like, the inside and the outside have to be harmonious, right? They have to look like
Absolutely. Yeah.
they have to kind of flow. And I'm just really the guide. I'm the guy. I'm the homeowner's guide. Like, it's really their property. They have to live there. My job is just to steer them in the right way to get the most bang for the buck and to get the end result. That's really my job.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that kind of leads me, I know you and I have talked about this before, but I want to talk about Pinterest because I know with conceptual drawings, usually a client will come to you with some Pinterest stuff. So, have you experienced yourself misconceptions with Pinterest photos that clients show you as inspiration, and kind of what can we all expect from a landscaping project that maybe isn't fully understood to the general public?
So yeah, so sometimes when they whip out their phone and they start scrolling, it's bad. Like they just
Yeah.
start. But the problem is they see what they want. It's like eye candy, but in reality, each project is different, and your project may not warrant certain things. You
Right.
know, it may not be buildable. It may be on a mountain. There may be rock underneath. So the Pinterest thing, I basically let them scroll through, and then I bring them back down to earth to say, we can take some of those visions you are, then we have to transport it into a design that's functional on budget that you can actually build. And
Right.
sometimes they get a little carried away in the stuff that they're showing me. It costs twice as much as their house, right? So you
Hmm.
want it all has to be done with the real estate values and every. You don't want to have the nicest backyard in the whole neighborhood and the front doesn't look the same. It has to kind of be incongruent with the value of the property and everything. Because when you do properly designed landscape, same with the inside, it actually raises the value of the house tremendously.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that when we come in too, it's like we're trying to increase the value of your property and make it feel from an entirety very cohesive. And that's where you guys come in too. No one's going to want to buy a house that has overgrown grass and weeds everywhere, but the inside is fully beautifully remodeled. It's like they know they're not getting the full package. So I think first impressions are a huge thing too, right? I mean, everybody's heard it. First impressions happen within like 3 seconds of meeting someone. I absolutely believe the same goes for your home. If you are driving by a home that you're about to go, maybe it's listed and you're about to go view it, your first impression is what you've created. You're the landscape designer. Whatever you have done is going to be their first impression. They're going to see this beautiful design. And I think, your work is one of the most impactful parts of increasing that value, right?
Absolutely. It's the first thing they see is the front of the yard before they
Yeah.
even go into the back. I mean, even if it's an open house, they're going to do a drive-by. Like before you hire somebody, they're going to do a Google search. Before they go into their home, they're going to do a drive-by.
Totally.
And if it's neat and tight and looks good, then they'll go to the next step, which is actually, go to your website. In this case, it's going to be go to the open house. So it's the same exact thing, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I know getting started is a hard part for people, but so I understand. Once you dig a hole in someone's yard, that means that your client is fully committed to that job, and so is your team. So I'm a little bit curious, kind of how you find that scheduling and good communication has helped you and your team, um, and how it helps with timelines and deadlines and that might even involve your client at times.
So you want to set the expectations from early on. So I think by having a good design and they can visualize the design, that's why we use the 3D rendering, and then that puts everybody on the same page.
Mhm.
Crucial.
Mhm.
Because if they're not on the same page, they're expecting one thing, you're showing them another. That's when the friction starts. So I think if you're very transparent and everything is all laid out with scheduling and timelines and all that, because you're coming into people's homes.
Mhm.
When I bring that machine to your property and and I'm putting in a swimming pool, within one day, there's an 8 foot hole in your backyard. Right? You really need to set the expectation. Think about it. You got kids coming home from school. You got dogs you have to worry about.
Mhm.
Um, you have gates and dogs open out and run out in the street and all. So everything has to be timed, and the clients really enjoy that when you keep them in the loop. And same when I have people come working at my house. What time are you coming? It's like the cable guy. 8 to 4. Like, what is that? You
Yeah.
know, the guys will be there at 8:30. We're going to leave till 5:30. So they kind of set the expectations up.
Yeah. And I think clear communication helps with every project. I mean, they probably appreciate that so much because it helps them, um, really know what's going on at what time. If you guys don't show up, let's say, they know that there's a reason for that, and you've probably more than likely already communicated that reason to them.
Sometimes that's very critical. Like, hey, the guys have to pick up some material. They're going to be late. Or
Yeah.
hey, the weather rained for 2 days. We were washed out for a couple days. Just keep them in the loop. We use a product called Company Cam.
Hmm.
You can take a bunch of job site photos. And you can send them a link, and they can see the progress photos. You want to keep them involved.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be blindsided.
No, no, definitely. And I feel like it's such an important thing in our industry to keep people in the loop at all times. Like you said, this is somebody's home, and they may be living there, they may not be living there. This could be a part-time home, this could be a travel home. You never know what the home situation is, whether or not they are there or not, though. You're dealing with somebody's personal property and something that they are, like we said, buying into and spending a lot of time and their money to really invest. And I think that's absolutely amazing with how you have said that you and your team, they really prioritize having this good communication. Because if I've ever heard it, everyone has said to run a good business, always have that good communication.
Absolutely, for sure. I would say that's number one.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Change orders, and hey, we ran into an issue here. It's going to be more. Just keep them. I've been guilty of that as well. Everybody's busy working. You forgot to give them a change order. We did the work, and all of a sudden you have to bring it up later. It's
Hmm.
never good.
No, and the thing is to change orders, and for people who may not completely understand what that is, that's something that was either out of the scope from the original bid that was bid out, or is going to be an added cost to maybe a standard finish that you're upgrading to something different. Things happen all the time throughout projects. And, we have to process these change orders to make sure that everything is going to be working properly, and you're getting really what you want at the end of the day. And it's never fun to have an additional fee associated with a project as big as the ones that you and I are working on. Sometimes they're necessary. And I think it kind of goes back to the whole Pinterest conversation, right? It's like, I remember you saying when we were talking about Pinterest one time, is that people will come to you with these beautiful images, but what they don't realize is the gardener was there yesterday and just put all those new fresh flowers in the backyard. A week from that picture, that backyard is not going to look the exact same. There's things that happen all the time that we see that are total misconceptions, and things come along. Things have to change. You kind of have to be willing to work with people in these teams because things are always coming up.
And you don't want to, like, we call it nickel and dime, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
nobody likes to be nickel and dime, especially if they're sending 200 or 300 grand. I mean, some of the, if it's a legitimate change in the scope. Oh, the scope of work is very important too. That before you start the project, to make sure everybody knows what the scope of work. Scope of work means what are you paying for and what are you going to deliver. That's pretty
Hmm.
much layman's terms for scope of work.
Yeah. And I think too, understanding that what's included in that, because it happens all the time, right? Where people are like, I thought
What's
this
not
was
included.
included.
More importantly, what's not
What's
included.
not included? Yeah, absolutely.
More
Um,
important than included, because they're like, oh, I thought that was included. It's not included. Yeah, it gets a little
it can get
dicey.
messy. Yeah. And I think, again, it goes back to the clear communication, right? Making sure they fully understand what's not included, so that they don't start, because that's when change orders do come in, right? It's when they want to add this and add because it's out of the scope from what was originally given to them.
Well,
So
they're homeowners. It's not their job to understand what's not included, right?
yeah,
They don't
it's
like
it's ours. Yeah.
it's our job, right? So it all comes back to the design, right? Everything goes back to the design. Like if you don't have
Hmm.
a clear design with clear specifications and scope of work, that's when it can get messy.
Hmm.
So spend
Definitely.
more time in the design portion of the job than actually the doing. You know what they say? It takes whatever. If you had 6 hours to chop down a tree, you spend the first 4 hours sharpening the blade, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of funny because you have said to me before too that you approach your team kind of with this motto, the do it once and do it right. And I think that's really powerful, and it's a powerful statement because there's so many people that kind of half-ass these projects just to get it done quickly.
Been with me for 27 years. Like I'm super passionate, right? Like
Yeah,
I think by showing the passion, which really listen. If I didn't need to make the money, some of these jobs I would do for free, honestly.
yeah,
Living in a cool backyard and stuff like that, and you're spending their money. I mean, obviously, you want to turn out a nice project, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm very passionate about what I do, and I get charged up, and I think the passion when I'm explaining the design comes through. I would build it as if it was my own backyard.
yeah. Yeah, you want to make people feel comfortable and get it done. Like you said, do it once and do it
It's like
right.
just like it's big. They get like, oh, if I repurpose these pavers, I'll save $3, right? But
Uh-huh.
like by the time I take out those pavers and reuse them, it's going to cost you three times its price, right?
Right.
Don't skimp on the material. Don't skimp on the quality. You just want to do it once, do it right. Means don't try to save $3 because you found a cheaper guy. He may cut corners, and you'll have problems with the patio settling for years to come. You have to keep fixing. That's what I mean by do it once, do it right.
Yeah.
It's an investment, right? You want to, how many times are you going to put a pool in your backyard? You're going to get one shot at it. Make sure it's done right, for
You
sure.
hope so.
I've seen
You
it
sure as
not.
heck hope
I've
so. And
seen it
I'm
go both ways.
how does this affect your client throughout the process and their end result?
What, do it once, do it right?
Yeah. I mean, what can they expect?
I think it goes back to becoming the authority. You basically just have to control them and tell them they have to trust you that you're going to do the right thing and the right job. Listen, for doing this for 40 years, like I don't want to get a phone call to come back, so it doesn't make sense for me to cut corners to save you a couple of dollars, and then I end up getting the phone calls repeat business. So you want to set the expectations. You want to do it once. You're going to live with this forever, right? So it's like painting your house. You can paint the color, and then you can change the color. But you put a pool and a patio in, it's big money to change it, right? So
Oh yeah.
you do it once, do it right. Same with the soil and the planting. Make sure the soil's good and the drainage is good and that everything is all infrastructure is good.
Yeah, definitely. I think money is a big conversation, right?
Money, yeah,
Money.
let's
So
talk
let's
to
talk about money
money
because that's the elephant in the room
in
that
the
I really want to
room.
address.
It needs to be addressed. A lot of people don't discuss enough of it. They think that the design should be $2. We can see them online. You can buy them for we can design your whole backyard for $300. It's impossible to do a proper design job unless you go there and spend the time on the design and
Yes,
flush
I
everything.
completely agree.
I mean, I just came back from a job now, dropping off samples. She wants to see the stone. It looks different on the computer than going there, right?
Hmm.
So, and then it flips back to the Pinterest. They're flipping me the Pinterest, and typically it's the one of the partners in the relationship has the Pinterest, and the other guy has to pay for it. And I'm just like, I just say, listen, what she's showing me, I'm just telling you, it's gonna cost more than the house. So we come to the Jesus moment where I say, let's come to Jesus. Let's really like, what's really practical? What do you really need? What do we need? So if I dig a pool, I need a hole in the ground. I need the pool, and I need a fence. Right? That's what I need by law.
Yeah,
Right? What you want is, I want the outdoor kitchen. I want the pool house. So you try to prioritize those based on the budget,
definitely.
and you can phase it in also, but you don't want to like skimp out on the pool, do certain things right, even if you have to phase it in over a period of time. At least at the end of the job, end of the project, you get what you want. That's really the goal. Is get my job is to give you what you want.
Yeah. Well, and I think when people are showing these images and stuff, what they really don't want to talk about because they're worried of spending all this money on a large project, such as those that we complete, it's because they're in fear of making the wrong decision. And that's why they want to see all these images and go through it. So how in your industry are you reassuring someone who's concerned about the price it costs for a project with your team, and how do you go above and beyond to make sure they feel comfortable working with you through the project? I mean, even from the initial consultation, and then how do you address with your clients who, because this is a big one, right? When they receive a lower bid from somebody that they consider an apples to apples company, and they want to know why your bid is coming in at a higher cost, how do you approach that?
Very good question. What's two things you see on a bid? When somebody gives you an estimate, what's the two things you see? There's two things on everybody's bid: price and scope, right? Price and scope.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. So you're getting three bids because their father told them to get three bids, but they just don't know. Like, why don't you get 300 bids? Why don't you just get 300 prices, right? You cannot, if you don't know the business and you don't know what to look for, that's the only thing you can go by is price. They just don't know. So my job is to educate them why the price is different on certain things, about the amount of concrete I'm going to pour and the amount of rebar you're going to put in. It goes back to do it once, do it right, right? So there's different ways to kind of slice it up. I'm not going to be the cheapest guy. I'm not, because I spend so much more time holding your hand through the entire process, right?
Definitely.
And things come up, and the design is just an interpretation of what it should look like. But when you're actually doing the job, things come up. May have to change a couple things around to get the best outcome of the whole job.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of where, and I think more people with the inside of the house, like they're a little more familiar with the inside for whatever reason. They know about tile and they know about carpet. When it comes to the outside, they don't know. It's a whole nother. You're not supposed to know. It's a whole nother element, right?
Yeah. It's why you have the job that you do.
Right. It's even when you're doing the job, they understand tile, and they understand paint, and they understand drapes and lighting, but they don't understand the same materials apply to the inside as the outside, just different things like lighting and your fixtures and your chandeliers. We do landscape lighting. It's the same type of flooring. Instead of tile, we use stone on the outside, pavers and stone. So it's the same thing. We just have to educate them a little bit more on, the difference of it. And they all Google stuff. Well, this guy said I can get a pool for $22,000. It's just not practical.
We'll get right back to the episode in just a moment, but first, I'm going to share a few words about one of our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Kiara Eyewear. If you're a lover of beautiful architecture and luxurious products like me, then let me just say these glasses are a must-have in your everyday lineup. Inspired by the clean lines and precise detail we find in some of the most famous architecture we see today, Kiara brings vintage luxury to a whole new level. I personally have the Noguchi Sunnies in emerald, and I have to admit, I am absolutely obsessed. And it's not only for their shatterproof polarized lenses and resilient acetate frames, but also because they're sustainably made, being 100% biodegradable, which is something very important to me. There's even an option now available to fully customize your pair of glasses to be uniquely yours with the addition of your prescription. Kiara Eyewear is the perfect gift to treat yourself or even get for your family and friends just in time for summer and the sunny weather. So for 20% off your order, go to kiaraeyewear.com and use code BTB20 at checkout to see life through a new lens. Yeah, no, I think just honestly being so realistic with what things are going to cost are what makes anybody stand out when you are comparing apples to apples, stand out. Because like you said, you're going to be holding people's hands through these processes. People don't know, and they're not supposed to know everything. And that's where we come in and kind of play this role where we're going to make sure you understand everything that's happening every step of the way. You don't have to understand it from a point of view that after this project, you can go do this yourself, but understand it to a point where there's clear communication happening so that they know really what they're paying for, what they're getting out of it, and the result that they can expect, because money is the hardest conversation to have.
It's when you give them a 4-page proposal, you said it, where do they go? They flip the pages. They don't even read it.
No, we've talked about this before, and I love the way you said that, because it's so true. You receive any proposal for anything in life that you get a proposal for. Where do you go first? You flip right to the back of the page that says the cost. And I can't remember if this was you that had said that you do this or it was somebody else, but I thought it was absolutely genius. And I want to say it was you. You put this at the very front of your proposal.
Front.
Front page.
I say, listen, let's just get. I say it like with the question. So let's address the elephant in the room. Everything we spoke about, it's $350,000, and they all. It's always too expensive. I've never bought anything that that was cheap. I'll take two.
Yeah.
Anytime you buy something, right? Oh, that's expensive. I mean, what's not expensive, right?
Yeah.
But it goes back to like, okay, you want to do this once, do this right. It's an investment in your home. Your home's going to increase. It's not you spending money. It really is an investment. Since COVID, people love the outside now. Like pools, everybody wants a pool now. Years ago, pools will maybe where you live, it's everybody has a pool, but in the Northeast, it wasn't. Now everybody wants a pool.
Right.
We can only use them like 10 weeks, 12 weeks out of the summer.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is what we were kind of talking about with really being with them and telling them, this is our schedule, this is our timeline. Things happen in every project. Granted, I'm in San Diego and I have to laugh. We were told we were going to have a hurricane. And granted, there were people that got hit by a hurricane. And I do feel bad for those who were hit and actually had damage done. But we truly just got I don't want to say a drizzle, but like a light rain and nothing more than what was, a normal rainy day. But granted, we have projects going on right now that don't even have a roof on the top of their home. Their roof is completely taken off and we have fresh flooring down. San Diego, we don't expect rain in August, right? Things happen with weather all the time. And it's like, you have to prepare and talk to these people and make sure that they feel so comfortable. And, they're putting their trust in you to take care of them through the process, rain, storm, sunny, whatever the situation might be.
They don't want to. In New York, nobody wants to hear your story. Nobody. I'm telling you. One thing I could say here is like, nobody has time for excuses.
Yeah.
Like if you said, "Oh, well, you didn't cover your roof, my flooring got wet," but like you don't watch the weather. Like what? Like come on. Like you didn't know it's gonna rain. Like New York is a rough town. Like people are rough. Like they know when you're BSing them. They know when you're telling them straight. So I just tell them straight up. It's worked well. Just being honest. Just be honest with them.
Yeah. And I know you've had a lot of success with that too. And that's why, you've been featured where you've been featured. You were an author of your own book. I think it says a lot and it's very notable from just, I think a lot of people's, I'm sure your clients, your family, your peers, people like me. I think it's very respectable with how much success you've had in, these decades that you have been working on landscape design and kind of creating these relationships. And I think one of the key things you said earlier was these reoccurring relationships, right? Like times can get hard. And I think when you create really great relationships and communicate well with people, you get those reoccurring clients. And that's what you want at the end of the day, whether that reoccurring client is for them personally, or that could almost be even considered a referral to one of their friends, their family members, somebody like that. And when we go through hard times, which I know you have, and I kind of want to talk about that, like landscape design wasn't always a flourishing industry for you, right? And there were times you've told me like mulch was hard to come by. So how do you push through those hard times to build the business you've grown to have today? And what did it take for you to get there? Because I think part of that was probably those relationships.
Yeah, so you're much younger than I am, and they think the device called the beeper, right? This going there's a beeper. Like,
yeah, I know the beeper.
If some people know, it was like, what is that? Like, don't forget, like they weren't around. Like my son's like, what's a beeper? Like they don't, So well, you get beeped on the thing. You have to drive your car to the payphone and make a phone call. So it was 2008. How old were you then? Like it was 2008 when Lehman Brothers tanked. Right. I remember being somewhere and the phone call rang, said I got to stop the job, and it was all over the news. It was bad. Like everything just shut down. Like the housing market just shut down, right?
Yeah, big
I
crash.
had two small kids. I remember that car got repossessed. I'll never forget. In the middle of the night, they took the two car seats out of the car, and they felt bad, but like took the car. You know, it
Hmm.
was like, oh crap, now what? You know, and you couldn't even sell a bag of mulch. Like nobody was doing anything. That's what you said. Couldn't do the mulch, right?
Yeah,
It's very hard to sell, and landscaping is more like a luxury item, I would say, right? You know, you don't really need a pool. You need a roof over your head. You don't need a swimming pool and fire pit and outdoor kitchen. So, I think most of the business is referral. Um, but I still try to learn. I'm learning TikTok and social Instagram and all that stuff. But, it's hard for a guy like me. I got to constantly Google it and look it up, but that's fine. I think that's why always have to be learning and try to keep the edge, right?
yeah. Evolving
Um,
is so important. Yeah.
yeah, and just keep always keep learning and be involved in mastermind groups and learning and stuff. But how to push to that is then you have repeat customers that say, "Hey, let me come by and trim your bushes or something." At least it was something. So you had
Hmm.
that pool of people you can call on. It wasn't big jobs, but you had enough to get you through it.
Definitely. And I think, like I said, I think that that is a key thing that so many people say is like building those relationships and making sure that in the case of, God forbid, market crashes happening and COVID, a pandemic happening, things that are just so unexpected, building yourself a long list of people well before any of that happening is insanely important when having a business like you or I are in. And honestly, most businesses.
Any business, it's
Yeah.
like what it taught me was that don't take anything for granted. Be grateful for stuff, like because I'm telling you, it's gonna if you're around long enough, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like it's coming. Like so, just be prepared. Don't take clients for granted. Actually, COVID I thought was going to be. It actually was the opposite for us. Like I was like, oh crap, now what? But man, it's been actually a blessing the COVID thing because everybody wanted to be outside and it just became a whole nother. You couldn't
Yeah.
even get. It was so busy you couldn't even get material because everybody was just busy. So
Yeah. And I think that's sometimes the beauty in it too, right? There were so many beautiful things that came out of COVID. And granted, there were so many people who, lost their lives and got really sick, and there was a lot of bad things that were happening too. But like an industry like yours, like how great people get to go outside and enjoy the natural beauty of their home. And that is why jobs like yours are so important and why I'm so happy you came on today to talk even more about it, because there's so many things that people don't realize when starting a project, and landscape design or interior design, either way, there's so many things that people just don't understand. And I'm really happy that you came on to take the time to even go into more detail.
I think it's more like I guess to wrap it up. It's like your home is like that's your sanctuary. It's like, what else do you have? If the whole world falls to crap, you have your home, right?
Hmm.
Your family, you have your home, you have your outside. I have people say to me, oh, I don't need an outside. I never go outside anyway. And I say, well, I wouldn't go outside either if it looked like that, right? And then you do a nice, beautiful backyard. Like, wow, we enjoy the backyard. We use it all summer. So the home is super special. Like,
Yeah.
it's your home place, right? Even with the inside, I'm sure you go through it too. Like, it's nice to come home to a nice place. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. No, that's bottom line. I think that's the perfect way to finish it off, because it's so true. Your home is your sanctuary. It's the place you want it to feel clean and well kept, and where your thoughts and everything from the outside world can kind of be taken aside and you can relax. And having a beautiful place to do that, and you don't have to spend millions and trillions of dollars to have a beautiful home, but to have something that feels really special to you, that, when you think of the place that you want to go to just relax, oftentimes people are like, I need to go on that vacation to get away and see a new scenery. But you can have that. You can create that in your home space too. So,
Yeah, you don't need listen, for a fire pit, you don't need a get custom fire pit. You can go to Lowe's and buy one. It's the same effect.
mm-hmm,
Swimming pool, same thing.
mm-hmm,
You get just as wet in a blow up pool as you do with $200,000 swimming pool. So it's all relative. It's all like even if you have a very sometimes we do rooftops in Manhattan, tiny little balconies. You can still make it your own. You don't have to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. No, and that's the beautiful thing. You can ball on a budget if you want to and still have
All on a budget. That's a
still
good
have the
one.
same effect.
All on a budget. I like that one.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on. I always finish with two fun fact finishers, completely having nothing to do with what we've been talking about, just to get to know you a little bit more. So, first one being, what is your favorite sport and team to watch play in person or on TV?
Wow. Sport? I mean, we've got I like football. I like Clemson Tigers, man.
You're a Clemson guy.
I'm a Clemson guy. And now I got a second son goes to Penn State, so I'm a Lions fan too. But nothing like college football.
College football is really great. I grew up. My grandfather was a huge UCLA football fan. So grew up going to those tailgates with my mom and my grandpa. Oh my God, college football is like a whole different ball game from the NFL. To me, it's 10 times better.
10 times better. So
10 times better.
That is my favorite sport and why.
I love that. I love that. All right, this one is kind of funny, but if you could have any animal in the world as a pet, what non-standard animal would you choose?
Jeez, where'd you come up with these questions? Well, we have 3 dogs. We have 2 Labradors and a little white dog, whatever the thing's called, Havanese. Standard. I think horses is a horse.
Okay, I like that.
Think about it. I just like watching them.
You just want to see a majestic horse run in the beautiful backyard.
Just want to see him eating the grass. Hanging out.
I love it. I do love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I think that, everything you talked about is so relevant and so helpful for people that are starting a project, or interested in ever starting a project. Homeowners, new homeowners, anything. Everything is so relevant. So thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. How can people find you? Where can they find you? Where can they ask any questions they might have or get a hold of you to even start a project?
Website, stevegrigsdesign.com. There's a questionnaire thing on there. Instagram now. They call it IG. Steve Griggs Design. But I just want to say something about you. You did a very good job. Very easy to talk to, by the way. Even when we did the pre-call, we stayed on the phone for it was not 5 minutes.
We were on the phone for 45, yeah.
45 minutes, yeah. So it was very cool. I know you're getting married, so good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you did a great job. Easy to talk to, great podcast, super smooth.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Much appreciated. Same goes for you. This conversation has been awesome. I'm so happy to, the whole reason I started this podcast in the first place is to really just create these genuine connections with other people, and could be completely unrelated to design. But it's always fun when I come across someone who completely understands the industry the way you do.
Anything I can do to help you out, you let me know.
Okay? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Have a great rest of your week, and cheers to another great project.
You too. Have a great day.